Here's the entrance to our ag shop, and we have a hallway. And going into the hallway, we have a couple display tanks, some televisions. Those are going to be hooked up to some cameras inside for biosecurity. And that little window is going to have a hatching jar. Here we've got some Arctic grayling and some California golden trout in a display tank. Here's all of our partners, all the students and volunteers that helped build it. And here we have all of our donors. We recognize Mick Hoover had been working with us for 30 years on it. Now coming into the fish lab, we got some protocols. We also have a little lockbox so that the kids can get in to do work. We also do have some security cameras. As somebody comes in, we have our foot bath. Everybody seems to have them, but I'd venture to say 90% of the facilities don't have any water in it. Got some hand sanitizer so students can use it. And this is what our fish lab looks like. At least this is the one side. We'll show you the other side in a bit. We recognize students that have been working in aquaculture, have done great things in our Wall of Fame. Here is our settling tank. With our settling tank, we have our water inlet. And what's interesting about this is instead of the water going down, we have it going up. And it goes to our two display tanks. That way we get a single pass on our display tank so it stays cleaner. Water then comes through here. We got ourselves a large Hayward pool pump. That goes to the sand filter. Then it goes up through around the walls. We have a backup pump. We can bypass that sand filter and run everything on there. If that pump should go out, we can replace it easily enough because we've got some different connections for it. Then the water comes down through. We've got this pan. There we've got our standpipes. So the water comes down through here. And we have a venturi, so there's a fender washer right here. Creates the venturi, that's where the bubbles are going to. We cover that hole up, the bubbles stop. And that's how that aerates. We also have an auxiliary water line. So we've got our standpipe cover. With that standpipe cover, we've got some holes on the bottom, holes at the top in case this should get plugged up. And what's important about that is that's what allows a vacuum to occur. That pan's pretty handy. Between each one of these tanks, we've got a valve. That way we can open things up and close things off. I can run just 2 or 3 of these tanks in each line. Here we've got 2,000 little golden trout. Then we've got approximately 4,000 rainbow trout. They're going to be fed here in a little bit. For backup oxygen, we've got oxygen lines that go throughout with those air stones. I find these to be the better air stones. We have places for nets to be hung up with instructions on those. There we have our oxygen tanks. All of the water runs down through the bottom. We've got a trough so that all the pipes and grating so nobody trips. That all comes up through there. This particular display tank, because they had a plywood bottom, we couldn't put a hole in the bottom. So what we did is we had that long bar and there is a small cut taken out of the bottom of it. And then that comes through. And what's ingenious about this particular system right here is right in between here we have a reducer, and we sanded down that outer ring up at the top so that it could be wedged in between here, and our standpipe sits down in there and it comes up. We put this union in there just to give us a place for that to grab a hold of. So the water actually comes up through the middle, and then it drops down through that standpipe. And in order to be able to drain it all off, we put this little bypass in. All I have to do is open up this valve, and all the water runs down through and bypasses and goes down through the floor. The Venturi system we have here is right in here. That's where our Venturi's at. And then we have a snorkel that allows us to get finer bubbles and to get it all the way down lower in the profile. We're going to see how low it goes in this next edition. And so we can adjust it with that valve up at the top. We've got this little hole drilled through, and that's what's going to stop the bubbles. And that's pretty cool. We also worked with Fish and Game to get some historical stuff so that we could teach about the historical rearing of fish in the state of Idaho. So that's pretty cool. This is the other side of the lab. We're going to be putting in a 6-foot tall and wide grow out tank here, and that's coming shortly.